All right, and welcome. We are live on Monday night. I hope you are all doing well. For those who are joining me, I appreciate you joining me on this live stream for the first time on StreamYard, on YouTube, on Facebook, and my private Facebook group. And today, basically, my topic is going to be to teach you how to turn the villain into a superpower. You guys, we all have a villain inside. The one that steals our dreams, that makes us doubt what we're worth and what we're capable of. And sometimes, some of you might experience this as I do, you experience some anxiety. And if there's one thing I want to teach you about anxiety, and this is something that is deep at the core of my belief system, and that is that it is a spiritual experience and transformation. And so let's hop right into today's topic. And so today's topic is going to be about your anxious brain. That's right. That fear, that worry, that dread, that panic that sets in. And for some of you who don't know me, my story with anxiety goes back a few years ago, probably about 7 or 8 to be exact, when I lost my best friend. I started to fear dying and what it would be like to leave my kids at a very young age, to not fulfill my purpose, my dreams, my goals. And I literally spun out of control. Every day that I woke up, I was fueled with anxiety and panic attacks. And I can remember my very first experience with anxiety. I was at a restaurant with my family, and we were discussing something about a friend of ours who just recently got really sick and was in the hospital. And it brought me back to my best friend that died. And I started to become overconsumed with anxiety, and my mind was spinning off all these fearful thoughts, all these things that I need to worry about, all the dread and the panic set in. And all of a sudden, I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I remember rushing to the washroom, not telling anybody, and I thought I was dying. And soon after that, I went out, sat down for a little bit, and I was still on fire. You know what I'm talking about. For those of you who have experienced anxiety, your mind is racing with crazy thought. My skin was on fire. My heart was pounding out of my chest. My throat was tight. I could barely breathe. And what did I do? I asked my wife for the keys because I wanted to go get somebody a gift, thinking leaving and not telling anybody would be the cure, to then realize that while I was driving, that I was actually getting a lot worse. And I remember rushing back and telling my dad that he needed to take me to the hospital because I thought I was having a heart attack, a stroke, whatever. And for those of you who can relate to those types of experiences, give me a big thumbs up. And while you're here, and if you're new, hit the subscribe button so I can welcome you to this community where I teach you how to become your own hero. That's right. I teach you how to turn the villain inside into a superpower, so that way you can get control of your life again. You, no matter what happens in your life, have the beliefs, the thoughts, and the actions in place that no matter what you're faced with, you can push through and become the best version of yourself and live a life that's always worth living. And so for those of you who are new to this live stream tonight, the topic tonight is how to stop your anxious brain. Now, I know for me, for a few years actually, when I didn't really learn mastery on this, after I did countless numerous things of going on YouTube and looking at psychotherapists, therapists, influencers who overcome great obstacles and challenges, and actually did a course as well that I will share later on in another video that's pretty amazing, designed by a gentleman out of Ireland. But right now, how do you stop your anxious brain? I know for me, I would wake up in the middle of the night in complete panic from a dream. My heart would be pounding on my chest. I would be having a panic attack or an anxiety attack, all from just thinking, my God, how is that possible? Well, for those of you who don't know, we happen to be the only species on the planet today that actually can think of a thought, a scary thought, and we can actually trigger the anxiety response, that fight or flight response that is actually there to protect us. It's actually an ally, a friend warning you to run and flee because a saber-toothed tiger is not too far off behind. But today our brains haven't evolved. It still thinks that we live back in the caveman days where we need to be on red alert about the next bearded animal that can take us out. And so let's get down to the talking points of the video. That's right, we got the villain over here, but we all want to turn that villain inside into the superpower, that strength that can carry us through anything in life. And one thing I want you to realize is, think of any superhero video or movie that you watched. They're not always in that state. They are people just like you and I. But when the time comes and they need to be called to action to save the day or to do something that is worthwhile, they don't hesitate to transform. And that's what I'm going to teach you. You have to realize that your anxious mind and brain is keeping you idle. And that is what is exactly fueling your anxiety. And today we're going to cover all aspects of that. And my goal by the end of this, within minutes, is that you can walk away with this and be a little bit more free. And so today's talking points are going to be we're going to cover three different areas. And so the first one is, what are the triggers? That protective response in our brains. What is it that goes on in our heads where all of a sudden we can be completely normal and all of a sudden you're worrying about maybe a bill payment that you might have paid late, or some deadline, or at work that you might not meet, an issue with your spouse that you don't think can get resolved. Whatever it is that you're experiencing, I'm going to cover what triggers that response in our brain. Then also, we need to also understand, and here's the one key thing. I basically got through all my anxiety without any external help. And I conclude that to like pharmaceutical drugs. I was given antidepressants and anxiety pills to stop it. And I actually took the anxiety pills a few times, but I actually knew at the core of me that for the remainder of my amazing life, that anytime I felt anxiety come on, that was what I was going to need to rely on. And I am not against anyone or anybody taking this. Do whatever it takes to progress you to calming your anxiety and get you moving in the right track. But one thing I have found by talking to countless people who suffer from anxiety, whether they're in their 20s, 30s, 50s, or 60s, is that they still have it. And they still rely on the pill to calm them. And so my job tonight, my mission, is to show you have everything on the inside. The tools are all within you to solve this issue with anxiety. And I'm going to show you how to use them intelligently. And so lastly, after we cover the negative side effects of being stuck in your head, what can you do? What's the hero plan? What can you do next, right here, right after you get off of this video, so that you can create new beliefs, thoughts, and actions that can help you to shut that response off and turn anxiety into a spiritual transformation that can actually fuel you to more purpose and meaning and happiness and adventure in your life. Because you know as well as I do, if anxiety is running your life right now, I can tell you that you are not having the most adventure. You are not pushing outside of your comfort zone, and you're not living to your highest potential. And so that's what we are going to cover today. And so for the next slide, how do you stop your anxious brain? Well, our brain loves to be worryful and fearful and dread and panic. And the question is, why? Well, here is why. Our brains actually are wired for a negative bias. That's right. Our brains naturally will see 70% more negativity than positivity because our brains aren't designed to make us happy. Their job is to keep us in survival, to keep us from being eaten by that dreaded little saber-toothed tiger. And so it's really up to you to understand now that your brain is just doing what it knows. It's going to anxiety. It's always scanning for the things that are wrong because it's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. It's actually an ally, but it's an ally that's using you in the wrong way. And I'm going to show you how to switch that around. And so for the next slide, all right, what are the triggers? What are the triggers that make this response go off in our brains where we're consumed by anxiety? Well, it's the what. When you're overwhelmed with fear and worry, your brain can't chill. It will then start processing your thoughts as potential threats. Now that you know its primal purpose, you're knowing why that's happening. You have to connect with your anxiety in your mind to develop a positive relationship to understand that it's keeping you safe and it's not trying to destroy your life by any means, but it's your job to create a different relationship with it. And so to get into a little bit deeper with an understanding of what's actually going on, the amygdala, which is part of the brain for our emotions, and when we only feel anxiety, and when signals from the emotional brain overpower the cognitive brain and into our consciousness, so into our reality. And so for those of you who have anxiety, you're natural worriers. You're always worrying about the what ifs. You're literally that rabbit in Alice in Wonderland that's always checking the clock, that is always worried about being late, that can never stay present, that's always thinking about the next step. And there's a lot of negative side effects of that. And a fun fact, humans are the only species that can trigger anxiety by thought alone. I mean, if you go into the jungle and if you see an antelope being chased by a tiger, it is going to trigger that response in its brain, and it's going to flee and fight to survive. But as soon as it's done being chased, the response shuts off. The human brain is not like that. By thought alone, we can trigger it. And so it is our job to learn to rewire ourselves. And so for the next slide, what are the negative side effects? There's always positive side effects of things that we're doing, and there's always negative side effects of things that we're doing. So what are the negative side effects of being stuck in your anxious mind? Well, you're never being present. You're always being stuck thinking about the future. I can't tell you countless times where I would be out with family. I would be out with friends. I would be on vacations and I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about, were they able to solve that problem without me? I'm thinking about, finances, or I'm thinking about, a problem that didn't get solved a week ago and if it will get resolved tomorrow. Here's a news flash. You might not be here tomorrow to worry about it, or even 5 minutes from now. Okay? So that's what happens when you're stuck in anxiety. There are very few people on the planet who can stay present in this moment and not, think too far out into the future. So that kind of, coincides with the anxious mind. It's never being present, always pushing yourself into some foregone day into the future about something you need to worry about. And so you're likely also going to be having restless sleep. For the life of me, when my anxiety was at its high, you guys, oh my God, my sleep was horrible. I would be waking up throughout the night countlessly thinking about work, or if I'm going to have anxiety the next day. You guys, for 2 years straight, I woke up almost every day and had an anxiety and panic attack. I was literally consumed by anxiety on a daily, hourly, minute, and second basis. So my sleep was horrible, and I'd also would wake up in the middle of the night thinking about work or problems that need to be solved, or if I'm ever going to get out of this, or what my life and my future is going to be like. So that constant thinking about tomorrow and the future, and it could also create insomnia. Also, it makes it hard to do simple tasks. When your mind is anxious, I know especially for me, if I'm sitting here, jotting down some notes that I have about things that I need to do, that have to even deal with this video, my mind's thinking about that bill I need to pay next, or that thing I didn't talk about my partner with at work that I need to do after this video, and if I'm going to remember or forget, and what will be the consequences of that. Simple tasks become complicated because you can't just focus on one thing at a time. Your mind is spinning so fast, like that mouse and that spinning wheel over and over and over again. And the simplest things that used to be simple are now so complicated because your mind is running at such a high speed. And so another thing is that you're going to be on edge. You're mentally overworked. Even the smallest negative thought can set off your anxious mind to be on red alert. And a state of negative rumination. I could tell you, for the longest period of time when I was at the peak with my anxiety, if for 8 hours of the day, 95% of my time was worrying about everything that could go wrong, and 5% was about the things that could go right. Even if I would try to control it and get out of it and find some positivity, my mind would find a way to loop back. And that is actually called the anxiety loop. And I will do a video one day in the future to discuss this. This can also, have to do with numerous different things in your life. For me, it was about flying or job interviews or, try to get new leads for business or to create new business. Public speaking, my God. I remember years ago, I did a public speaking engagement at a fundraiser, and I had paper in my hand and I couldn't stop shaking because I had so much built up tension inside my body. It was unreal. You could also be on edge about your relationship issues. Will they get solved? Won't they get solved? Sometimes the simplest of things, it can become gigantic because you just don't have that ability to get out beyond yourself. And so what can be some of the long-term side effects of this? You can start to develop long-term headaches, muscle tension, insomnia, depression, and you could start to become socially isolated. I remember for me, there was a time I was uptown in a town that I live in here in Alliston, and there was a local festival going on, and I remember my response got triggered and I had to leave, and I walked back and I sat in my room and I was just so broken. I'm a grown man and I'm fearing the fear of being myself. Like, that's basically what it comes down to. You're fearing the fear of your own thoughts, your own body, and it can become very consuming. And so, what do we do next, you guys? Well, you need to become your own hero. That's right. And so, how do you do that? Well, it's like anything in life. Our beliefs shape us, whether it's positive or negative. They shape our world. They shape how we see things. How many times can you have two people look at the same picture and look at it completely different with two different types of meanings, because our beliefs shape who we are. And so one thing that you need to decide right here, right now, is that you are not these negative beliefs. You just have to disconnect yourself from it. Your mind is going to do what it needs to do. It's going to try to protect you and keep you safe and scan for the things that are wrong, but you do not need to identify with them. And so the next thing you need to do after you create some empowering beliefs is you have to start creating some empowering thoughts. And remember, neurons that fire together will wire together. That's right. Neuroplasticity, a new scientific breakthrough, has just shown that we have the ability to rewire our brains. That's right. It's just like a muscle. You can't just do this once and expect you're going to get in shape. When it comes to anxiety, you have to rewire yourself by continually combating every single negative thought with a new one that will empower you. And so the change happens when you repeatedly follow every negative thought with a positive one. You can't just do it once in a while. You have to do it every single time until it becomes your natural response. And one thing you also need to do is don't believe the negative outcomes your mind is painting out. Rub it off. Like it, BS. I'm not that outcome, and I'm not that ridiculous thought. You need to learn to be playful. Replace the fear with excitement. That's right. Be playful. You guys, let me tell you, I used to go on airplanes. And before I would get on the airplane, I would probably visit the washroom about 6 times. my nerves, my stomach would be tight, my heart's pounding out of my chest. I'm thinking about all the worst things that could happen. That's right, the plane crashing. When I'm on the plane, I'm worried about the rattling of screws and that noise and the turbulence and all these sorts of things. And if for some of you who might connect with this, give me a big thumbs up in the comments section, share an experience with me. That really hits home with you if you connect with this. It even led into driving a car, social engagements, being at restaurants. It literally impacted my whole life. So one thing that I did is I learned to start to be playful. I started to replace that fear with excitement. I used to tell myself, I am so excited to get on this plane. What a privilege. How much gratitude could I show that, I can create enough wealth to go travel the world. And while I'm on that plane, I just think of all the cool, amazing things and reasons for being on that plane. And so you really have to do this intelligently and consciously with anything that you might fear in your life. Maybe it's something completely different with you. Today, maybe it's about COVID or something that's related to COVID. Maybe your business was affected. Maybe your relationship was affected. Maybe you've, kind of created the wrong imagery because of all the toxic crap that's coming out of social media, and it's really affecting you. And so be playful with everything and anything that your mind spins off that can trigger that anxiety response. Because guys, we have a choice. We can either look at it from a half glass full or half glass empty or half glass full. We always have that choice. And Viktor Frankl, a famous psychologist, always says the choice is the last human freedom. So choose to be playful with your anxiety. And so the final thing is after you create some beliefs and thoughts, your body's going to take some action, right? It needs something inputted in order to move, in order to create an action in our life, which creates the results of our life. And so over time, when you continuously take action, this is what will shut off your anxiety switch. And so chase the things that you fear. Do it repeatedly over and over and over again. Make it a daily practice. And when they appear, meditate on them. Take action. Don't stay idle. When you stay idle with anxiety, that's when the tension brews inside you. That's when those thoughts race because you're not allowing the energy. That's what anxiety is. It's nervous energy that is either derived from fear or excitement. It's all based around your perception of the experience. And so one final thing that I want to share with you that you can do that can alter your anxiety is you must work out. You must work the hell out. That's right. Why is working out so important? Well, it does a few things. One, it releases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It actually increases testosterone, and it actually increases your tolerance to take on risk. And so it has so many amazing benefits. And actually, one thing it also does is it creates the skill of discipline, of you pushing yourself physically beyond something you're comfortable with doing. And then that will translate into your experiences with anxiety. You will no longer sit idle because now you've disciplined your body to connect with your mind, and they will work in harmony to develop the hero inside. And so I want to share this last bonus tip with you guys. You must chase at anxiety and make anxiety your, that's right, you can read that yourself. Make it your you knew what. Do not let it control you. It is a part of you, but it's not all of you. You are everything that you were designed to be in life, but anxiety is just that part of us, that little child, that little boy or little girl that, needed some questions that maybe didn't get answered when they're younger, and you still have those same fears as an adult. And so take it by the hand, love it, develop a good relationship, but let it know that you're in control now and it's going to come along for the ride. And so one other thing that I want to add is before you sleep, it is very important that you write everything down that you're thinking of. I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes to an hour, you guys. This works because you get it out of your head and onto paper. And when you're done, you tell yourself, everything that's on this paper is everything that I need to know for tomorrow. But for today, nothing that is on that paper will affect me. And so when I wake up tomorrow, I'll pick up where I left off now, but now I'm ready for sleep. And however much sleep I get, it'll be enough to function and make a great day tomorrow. And so have some fun with it. Eliminate the fear of fear. Shut that switch off. And for those of you who might just need a little bit more help, you guys, I'm going to share this with you here. And that is this. All right. For those of you who need a little help, like I did, I went to my doctor. I told him what was going on with me. It was fueled for my best friend dying. Also, I was having another kid. I started a new business venture where I was losing money. And by nature, I have to be honest, I've been a bit of a worrier from a very young age. I've always looked, not always on the positive side of things, looking to the worst of things. But as you get older, you wear a lot of the good chemicals in your brain that just naturally start to trigger that anxious response. And so I needed help. I was desperate. I was willing to do anything but be reliant on something that was not natural and that I'd be relying on for the rest of my life like a crutch. And so I decided to get out of my way, and I found a program online that helped me to transform my anxiety. And I remember that one day where I was desperate and out and didn't think I would ever come out of this. I remember looking up to the sky and saying, why me? Why me? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't do anything bad. I'm just trying to be a good person. And a voice in my head said, you have to become your own hero. And so from that day on, when I had that experience, I devoted that everything that I was going to go through and the skills and the tools that I would develop would make a difference in someone else's life. And so that's what gave me meaning and purpose, is that my anxiety wasn't for me. It was for me to help someone one day become their own hero. And I hope that you get that from this video. But if you don't and you need a little bit more help, right here in the screen is a coaching platform that I have on Clarity. And you can actually type in my name, Sammy Spataro, if you go to clarity.fm. And right over here, you can hit request a call. And then what'll happen is it'll show you a bunch of dates, and you can book me for 15 minutes, 30, an hour. And what I will do is design you a program, a 21-day anxiety-free program, custom to everything that is going on in your life, that has happened in your life as a child, because I like to go deep, because our belief systems are created well before the age of 8, and they're still controlling us today. And what I want to get into is who you are, who the villain is, what experiences you had in your life that created it, and what we can do to change that so you can become your own hero in your life, your family life, your business life, your community, your church, whatever it is that you want to be, and live an anxiety-free life. And so that's the end of this video. I hope you'd enjoyed it. If you did, guys, give me a big thumbs up at the bottom there. I would really appreciate it. In the comments section, let me know what you liked about the video. And also, if you're new and you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to build this up so that I can spend as much time doing this into the future to help as many people as possible, because there's so much uncertainty in life. And what I want you to understand is that no matter what is going on in your life or around you or to you, at any time, you can become your own hero. But you got to get out of yourself and realize that what you're experiencing will shape you into a future self that will be everything that you ever wished for. And so I'm going to end on that. And like I end every video, and before I put my kids to sleep, which I'm about to do after this video, you guys, if you are going to dream today, please, you guys, please, 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 make sure you dream big. And always make sure that you keep smiling. And have an awesome day.